I am not going to lie about this. I actually had recorded an entire video getting ready for Hilda Season 3, and I had to toss the whole thing out because the trailer for Season 3 blew so many of my theories and ideas out of the water. And you know what? I love that! So, this is take number 2 for my thoughts and predictions for Hilda Season 3. If you haven't yet seen Netflix's Hilda, you should absolutely take the weekend to watch this incredible show. It is this beautiful mix of melancholy and wonder as you have a young girl, Hilda, growing up, moving into the city, but trying to still find all of this incredible adventure, all of the wildlife, all of the magic and the monsters that she knew when she lived out in the woods with just her mom. And you get to see her make all of these incredible friends, go on these amazing adventures, discover all these new things, many things which are actually low-key or just outright terrifying and murderous. And what I love about Hilda is how it takes very real things, even though there's a lot of magic and mystery woven into it, but very real issues that adults have to deal with, and it presents them from a child's perspective and shows how a kid can solve really big problems. And I do believe that that is going to be a key to Hilda Season 3, that for a lot of the mysteries and monsters and reveals that are about to hit us, it is still going to take a younger Hilda, even though she's growing up, to solve some of these big problems that are about to hit her, her mother, and her friends. So, from what we can see thus far in the trailer, is that Hilda is going with her mom and her friends, Frida and David, out to visit her grandmother. This is going to be really interesting because for the past 2 seasons, it's been an open mystery. Who is Hilda's family? One of the big ones is, who is Hilda's dad? And this trailer seems to already kind of put to rest that the bell ringer might be Hilda's father. It's a little bit disappointing because that was a fun theory that a lot of people had, but who knows? Maybe it could still be revealed that he is. But in any case, we are going to get to learn more about Hilda's family, how they factor into everything, and it appears as though there is some sort of deal, that there is some greater mystery, some greater threat. And one thing that I am very happy about, probably the one thing that I can actually use from my earlier take on this, is that we are going to return to one of the biggest threats that was revealed in the first 2 episodes of Season 1, that some sort of power or monster, what have you, from the void of space is coming. So when we look at the promotional poster, we see that the moon is shattered. We also were told that all of the giants have left Earth. However, the trailer shows us that there are still giants, or at least some sort of creatures, somewhat giant-like, left on Earth that have to leave. And why are they leaving? Could it be that they are attached to whatever kind of horror is coming to Earth? Could it be that Hilda has been recalled by her grandma because of these strange beings that have said that there is an agreement that must be met? There was a pact that was made that now must be fulfilled, and this is all leading up to this great threat that was introduced at the very beginning of the series. That is what I suspect is going to be the overarching story. But within this overarching story, what other things can we expect? Some of the things that I'm pretty certain that we are going to continue to see is the developing relationship between Hilda and her mother. Something that was kind of shaky going through Season 2, but definitely comes together within the movie for The Mountain King. And we now get to see the results of their strengthening relationship, especially in the face of new threats and of Grandma now being around, and Grandma seemingly messing around with some stuff. We're also going to see Frida continuing to study magic and use her witchy powers, and the witches are most definitely going to be a part of all of this because these weird cloaked beings that we see both in the trailer and on the poster were actually depicted back in Season 2 within the witches' tower. We see their statues flanking the grand hallway that leads into the main hall or the main room where the lead witches meet for all of their deliberations and debates that they're so fond of. And this actually leads me to a theory that I have, which it might not happen at all. There might not even be a trace of any of this in the final season. But considering that the witches will be playing a part in season 3, I wonder if we might not return to something for David. Back in season 2, when they were finally dealing with the Tide Mice and bringing their massive brood to an end, David was paired off with Kaisa. They were going and eliminating a bunch of the mice, or at least catching them, and we get this moment where Kaisa is being very nice to David. David gets a little bit flustered. Now that we know that these are kids going into their preteen teen phase, well, I suspect that we might get a little bit of David crushing on Kaisa, which I know for those of you who have lived through the whole When Dip phase from Gravity Falls are like, oh, we don't need another little kid falling in love with an older girl. It's been done before, we don't need it. And you know what? Yeah, it might be a trope that's been overdone, but this is one where I think it would be interesting to see, considering that David does need some good, solid character development this season. We've already seen back in season 2 that he is someone who is capable of mustering up courage when it's absolutely needed, and we even get that in the promotional material. However, it's not just simply fearlessness in the face of disaster and danger, but also finally finding courage to deal with people. David is very comfortable around Frida and Hilda. What if you got him out of his comfort zone and put him into interactions with other people, such as someone that it's lightly hinted at that he might have a crush on? Again, this might not go anywhere, but it would be interesting to see. And that makes me also think about, well, what kind of character development can we expect for Frida and Hilda? I think that for Frida, someone who's already gone actually through a lot of character development, especially at the end of season 1 and through certain parts of season 2, I think it's time for Frida to really discover more about who she is, to solidify her identity going into her teenage years, which is a time of a lot of angst and confusion. Who exactly am I? But Frida is actually someone who is well enough equipped with all of her previous experiences to decide who she wants to be, and especially if she still wants to continue to be a witch. What kind of witch is she going to be? Who is she going to apprentice under? And that could be something really interesting, especially when all of these different reveals about Hilda's family, about the witches in general, the greater threats to Earth. This is something that could really challenge her of, do you want to actually be a witch? Because this is the world that you're tying yourself to, and you are someone who enjoys order, who enjoys control. And you most definitely won't have it in this magical world. So that could be actually a very big moment of decision making for Frida. Which world do you choose to live in? And when it comes to Hilda, Hilda is a character that runs within a certain vein. And I don't know if I would call it a trope or if I'd call it a character archetype, but it is the hero who doesn't really change. And not necessarily in the sense of that this is a character that any sort of character progression or character arc, but rather that they are someone who defines who they are by staying true to their values no matter what they are confronted with. Captain America is an excellent example of that. Ichigo from Bleach is an excellent example of that. Characters who never change no matter what is thrown at them because they are so convinced of their values, of their position in the world, and they show that their stance is the correct one by fighting against all of the odds. And Hilda's kind of done that, seeking understanding with others, getting to know the rest of the world, making friends, making connections, despite the fact that she had once said that she didn't want to make friends. The moment that she realized that she could make friends with others, that just broadened her already established view, and she was able to make friends then with all these other people, with all these other creatures. And so Hilda's actually remained pretty much the same throughout the entire series. She's just been able to incorporate more viewpoints into her own while remaining true to her core personality of adventurous and understanding. Now, that needs to be challenged with something that could wreck the world that she knows. What is the greatest way to challenge someone's worldview than by taking away that world and showing them something different? this would mean truly growing up. This means that Hilda has to set aside everything that she's known as she begins to realize more about her family, more about the actual state of the magic that permeates the world, and the threats that she has been flirting around with this whole time but hasn't really been paying any attention to, that there is something awful coming to Earth, that there is a change coming. So those are kind of the big things that I expect to see within Hilda Season 3. That's kind of vague and nebulous, I know, because, well, one of the things that we can definitely count on with the Hilda series is that it's going to throw all different kinds of curveballs at you. But one thing, though, that we can actually rely on when it comes to Hilda is how it lays out a trail of breadcrumbs for all of its reveals. A really good example of this is when you look back at the first season, leading up to dealing with the massive hound that just is wrecking Trollberg. You get all of these little hints leading up to the reveal that there is a big hound episode by episode, and then we get an episode dealing with the Nissa, who they are, how their world works, their magic, and then you bring all of that together for the big chase to wrangle the hound, reveal who it is, and for Hilda again to use her unique way of seeing the world to smooth everything on over and lead to the best conclusion possible for a scenario that looks like it's just going to end horribly for everyone. This is really good writing, leaving a trail of breadcrumbs. If you want to have a big reveal, if you want to have a good twist, you need to leave some kind of clues behind for people to follow. If you just slap them over the head with something completely out of left field, you run a 50-50 chance of it working or of it not working. And if it doesn't work, you are in trouble. It's better to hedge your bets by leaving a trail of breadcrumbs, little clues in the background, in dialogue, in offhanded comments that characters make that lets you know, in hindsight, that this was being set up. This is something that you are not going to get as a novice writer right off the bat. It does take practice to get it right, but it can be done, and it pays off immense dividends in the end. That's right now my greatest writing advice that I can pull out of Hilda, and I'm really looking forward to this third and final season. It's going to be sad to bid this story farewell because it is absolutely beautiful. It is such an amazing show. It's a show that actually got me through my first year of teaching, which was really difficult. It was very difficult to teach for my first year. And the show Hilda actually got me through it with its beautiful music, with its fantastic characters. It made me laugh. It made me cry. The second season even more so, and it just was a brilliant catharsis. It was even the show that actually got me going on other little personal adventures, revisiting areas from my childhood, rediscovering the childhood wonder that Hilda is able to see in the entire world around her, recalling old dreams and imaginative adventures that I'd once had as a kid. And really, by rediscovering some of that stuff, holy cow, it opened up a whole world of possibilities for myself as a creator. And it got me just to go on some incredibly personal, enriching adventures. And that's what Hilda is. It is an enriching adventure for these characters going through this world of mystery, wonder, magic, horror, and danger, which is all wrapped up in a beautiful message about growing up. And it's going to be interesting to see where all these characters grow up and go in the final season. So those are my thoughts for right now. The last season is coming up really soon, so I don't have a whole lot of time to get this done and cranked up, put on out there onto the interwebs, and hopefully you guys watch it, you enjoy it. If you haven't seen Hilda yet, again, I highly recommend watching it. You are going to love it. In the meantime, if you're looking for more reviews, insights, analyses, writing advice, please check out our other videos here on our channel. And we would love it if you would support us by checking out some of the books that we ourselves have published. Links for them are in the description below. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining us on this incredible adventure that we call writing. And until the next video, y'all, tschüss.